Imagine waking up one day and realizing your own family is plotting to lock you away. Not because you've lost your mind, but because they want your money, your house, and your silence. That's what happened to me, an 83-year-old veteran who's lived, loved, and lost more than most people have dared to imagine. They thought I was too old to notice, too weak to fight, too tired to care. So what did I do? I played along. I let them wheel me into an assisted living facility they chose. I smiled. I nodded. And while they celebrated their little victory, I was secretly building my army of lawyers, of allies, of insiders who knew how to take back what was mine. Then one morning, while they were sipping their lattes and signing fake documents, I dropped the bomb. I bought the entire damn facility, fired everyone who crossed me, took back my power, and started a revolution that made national news. You think seniors are powerless? You've never seen an angry grandpa with a credit score over 800. Don't scroll away. This story is just getting started. Like, share, and subscribe, because this ain't your typical retirement tale. I wasn't supposed to hear it, but I did. It was one of those moments where you walk in just a second too early, or maybe a second too late, depending on how you see it. My daughter-in-law whispered to my son in the hallway of my own damn house. We need to move fast before he forgets where he even is. He's getting worse. Forget where I am? I built this house with my own 2 hands in 1971 after coming back from Vietnam. Every nail, every plank of wood had my sweat soaked into it. And now they were treating me like a worn-out slipper. So I did what any 83-year-old who's been underestimated his whole life would do. I made a plan that would cost me everything, and eventually own everything. Dad, it's just for a little while. They'll take good care of you. That's what my son said as he handed me a bag of clothes and gently shut the car door. I wasn't going to Sunny Acres by choice. I was being placed there like a damn paperweight, like I was in the way. Sunny Acres smelled like boiled broccoli and Lysol. The staff smiled too wide. The walls were beige, the color of giving up. But what they didn't know was, I wasn't planning on staying. I was planning on owning the place. And by the end of this story, I damn well did. They told the staff I had early dementia. They told the lawyer I was mentally unfit. They told my neighbors I needed help. What they didn't tell anyone was that my pension, savings, and VA benefits totaled over $2.3 million, and they had their eyes on it like vultures circling a wounded fox. But I wasn't wounded. I was just waiting. Sunny Acres had its own little underground. A 91-year-old retired accountant who could forge any signature. A 78-year-old ex-con who did 20 years for wire fraud. A sweet 85-year-old woman named Doris with a photographic memory and a PhD in psychology. We played bingo. We shared meds. We passed secrets like kids in high school. And slowly, we began plotting. Not just revenge. Not just escape. We plotted a hostile takeover. I started collecting evidence, recording conversations, photographing pills I wasn't supposed to get, tracking who came into my room and when. Doris helped me fake memory lapses during evaluations. Frank, the ex-con, drafted letters to the state board. We were building a case. A massive one. One mistake from the management and we'd strike. But we didn't just want to win. We wanted to own the battlefield. You ever seen a lawyer's face turn white as a ghost? That's what happened when I walked into his office with my own hired counsel and presented the documents. The videos. The forged assessments. He swallowed hard. You can't do this. Oh, I already did. I told him. By the end of the week, I had power of attorney reinstated, conservatorship dissolved, and my bank accounts unfrozen. They thought I was senile. Turns out, I was silent. There's a difference. With my finances back, I made a call to an old army buddy in real estate. The facility had been in financial distress for months. I made a cash offer. $1.2 million for controlling shares. By the time the ink dried, I wasn't a resident anymore. I was the owner. I gathered the staff in the dining room. Same room they once told me I needed to eat pureed peas. Effective immediately, I said into the mic. Every one of you who faked my records, stole my meds, or treated my fellow residents like burdens, you're fired. You could hear forks drop. And then Doris stood up. And don't think we didn't see you stealing from the kitchen budget, Trudy. I turned Sunny Acres into a co-op owned by residents. I hired a staff of real caregivers who gave a damn. We added a library, internet cafe, and even a podcast room. We called it Freedom Acres. Because this wasn't a retirement home anymore. It was a revolution. He came to visit 6 months later, wearing guilt like an old suit. Dad, I didn't know you were capable. I said, you didn't want to know. I gave him a tour. He asked if he could invest. I told him investments start with trust. He hadn't earned it yet. But I let him volunteer in the garden. That's a start. The board of directors had no clue what hit them. I didn't just buy Sunny Acres, I infiltrated their entire management structure. The first meeting I attended as owner, I wore my war medals on purpose. Gentlemen, I began, I may be 83, but I've won battles you can't even imagine. And I'm here to clean house. 2 resigned that day. 1 tried to call his lawyer. Too late. I had everything, records, receipts, whistleblower affidavits. Doris even tracked the backdated invoices. The place wasn't just broken, it was bleeding money and compassion. And I was about to stop the hemorrhage. I didn't do it alone. Every resident who had been ignored, gaslit, and sedated now had a voice. We formed a resident council. They came to meetings with walkers, wheelchairs, oxygen tanks, and demands. One man, Harold, stood up trembling and said, I was an engineer for 40 years. And this is the first time in 10 I've been treated like a human being. We cheered. They weren't just elders. They were shareholders. And with every new decision, we gave them the vote. Democracy in diapers, as Frank called it. Remember the lawyer who froze my accounts? He got disbarred. Remember Trudy from the kitchen? Caught skimming over $40,000 from supply budgets? She's currently enjoying community service at the very food bank she used to laugh about. And my son and daughter-in-law? Let's just say the judge didn't like their false testimony about my mental state. They lost guardianship and a big chunk of their credibility. Revenge is sweet. But justice? Justice is cold, calculated, and dressed in legal paperwork. We hosted our first real event, a live swing band and dance night. You haven't lived until you've seen a dozen octogenarians lindy hop with walkers. I danced with Doris. She whispered, I never thought I'd feel young again. And I realized that was the real win. Not the money, not the power, the dignity. We got our dignity back. Doris and I started recording short episodes in the podcast room. We called it Elders with Attitude. We talked about betrayal, pensions, elder law, and revenge. Episode 3 went viral after I said, if you treat your parents like trash, don't be surprised when they come back owning the dump. We were on CNN by week 4. One day, I got a letter, handwritten. It was from my granddaughter, Emma. Grandpa, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I miss you. I'd love to visit. I cried, not because I was weak, but because not all family is lost forever. One night over poker, Frank joked, we should do this across the country. It stuck. We drafted a plan. Freedom Acres wasn't going to be one building. It was going to be a movement. A chain of senior-run, co-op assisted living centers, managed by those who live there, funded by those who believe in dignity. We filed for nonprofit status and launched a GoFundMe. It hit $3 million in 72 hours. No, really. A local council member saw what we did and asked if I'd consider running for city council. Me? At 83? Exactly. People trust you. I said I'd think about it. I've got a few more revolutions in me first. We don't control how long we live, but we do control how loudly we live. I wrote a will, but more than that, I wrote a guide. A step-by-step playbook on how to take back control when the world writes you off. It's called Old, Not Obsolete. Emma helped me self-publish it. Amazon bestseller in senior living. 3 months ago, someone pulled the fire alarm at 3 a.m. Evacuations, confusion, chaos. Turned out it was Henry, the quiet guy from room 14. He just wanted to see if we'd still come help him. We did, every single one of us. Because here at Freedom Acres, no one is left behind. Not anymore. You watching this? Don't wait. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're not done. If you think no one will listen, speak louder. If they try to lock you away, buy the damn lock and melt it down. Because if I can take back my power at 83, so can you. Like, share, and subscribe. We're not retiring quietly anymore. We're rising loudly. Freedom doesn't age.